Started?
No, sir. I cannot.
Let me just post this link. Today's streaming. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Before I begin, there's something important that I want to talk to you guys about, and it's about plagiarism. All right. It's kind of alarming. We already have like 2 cases of plagiarism. All right. There's little comfort that it's not from this section. It's from the other class. But I still want to kind of talk about it. It's only like week 6, and usually what I've seen is happens towards the end of the course. People are kind of, they already have the knowledge or something. Either they are going forward with it or not. But I want to tell you that it's, I feel very strongly about plagiarism. I've been very lenient about it. You guys, I've given you option. You guys can go back and resubmit your homework. TAs are willing to regrade it, right? And then if you are worried about getting the program certificate, again, I've made it very, very easy. All you have to do is show up for the class and submit something, all right? Just not a blank repo. Even if a README file, which has a pseudocode that what you're trying to do, if those are there, you will still get the certificate, all right? It might not be worth anything. If you're not concentrating, you haven't done anything, it wouldn't do any good to you, but you will still get it. So there's no reason to copy somebody else's code and try to, submit it as your own. Again, this program certificate and even my resume, right? If I have a fancy resume with buzzwords, this can take us only so far. And so far is, it can guarantee us a job interview, that's it. But you and me, when we are sitting over there, we are both at the same level. If somebody asks us, code, for example, bubble sort, if you can do it and I can't do it, guess who's getting the job, all right? So it's these things only take us so far. So the point is, even the TAs, we kind of know everybody's skill level right now, okay? It's kind of easy to find out. And the cases I'm talking about, it was kind of apparent what's going on. So, the solution for these, you can Google it. Of course, it's out there, right? It's not a hidden secret. But everybody's code, it's like in writing an essay, right? Everybody writes it their own way, right? It's very easy to find out and tell who wrote this code, right? What I would say is, I want to clarify what plagiarism is not, right? You are stuck in an issue. You ask somebody in the class, they look at your code, or they show you their homework, how they have done it. You get an idea, right? And then you go ahead and code it what you think the solution is. That's okay, right? You go to Stack Overflow, you're stuck on a small problem. You go to Stack Overflow, you find the solution. You're like, okay, now I understand what's going on. I'm going to code it my way. That's still fine. What is not acceptable is that you find somebody else's GitHub repo with this solution, just copy it, paste it, submit it, without any, you don't even know what's going on, without any changes, you just did it, right? And these things are not very hard to track. As I said, we know what the skill level is, and when I see the code somebody is writing, I can tell, if it is written by the same person or not, right? And then GitHub keeps history, remember? It's easy to go back and see what's going on. If an hour before the submission, you are submitting like 5 files of code, okay. Maybe you just like work locally and haven't done anything, but kind of raises a red flag, okay? And hopefully it doesn't happen in this class. But as I said, I feel really strongly about plagiarism. I feel like it's kind of betrayal of trust between us. So if it happens, then my assumption is that it's not the first time you have cheated. It's the first time we have caught you. Okay, so this kind of puts you, we are going to go back through your previous assignments, kind of take a look at it also, because that relationship is kind of not there anymore. Okay, again, I'm hoping nobody is there from this class, but I talked to the other instructor. I said, you know, we'll talk in my class also, and he already has to deal with like a couple of students. So hopefully this doesn't happen. Okay. Any questions? Everybody clear on that? All right.
So it is okay to, look at Stack Overflow.
Yeah.
And still.
It's okay.
Like
Yeah. That is okay. What is not okay is you find a GitHub repo with this solution. Of course, this program is going around the whole US. You can easily find it. Just copy paste it and.
So you can because I use YouTube sometimes to help me step by step.
Right.
And as long as I make it my own, that's
Yeah,
fine. Okay.
that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Again, what is not okay is you find the solution, just copy paste the whole thing out and be like, here's my submission, right? As long as you understand what you saw or what you saw on Stack Overflow or somebody else's code, you saw somebody else's in the class, they shared their code and you're like, okay, this is where I'm stuck and this is how I solve it, it's okay. Okay. All right. All right, let's get back to today's lesson then. All right, so today's, there's nothing new. We still need a lot of practice, right, with our API calls. So what we are going to do is, we're going to do, let's see how many exercises are there. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll try to do 4 small exercises. But towards the second half of the class, there's a big project that you guys are going to be working on. We'll be doing it in groups of 4, and I'll give you more details what you have to come up with. This time there's no starter template. I will just show you an image, and you guys have to work starting from the UI, the API calls, and everything. We'll discuss in the second half. All right. But before we get there, I will do 3 or 4 exercises depending on the time. These are just quick small activities that will kind of revise your concepts again. Okay. All right, we'll start with the first one and we'll do this together, and the rest of them then I'll give you guys the code and we'll start working on it. All right, so this exercise, we'll start from the top. All right, you see these comment things? So we have to come up, we have to discuss, and we have to kind of understand what's going on these lines. Okay? Let's start here. Bree, line number 15.
So what is happening?
What's happening in line number 16?
Okay, so it's saying that you're on click a button, hot button, you're calling that button.
Okay, yeah. So basically, what she is saying is this is an event listener. If I'm being very technical, why is an event listener? Because click is an event, right? So this code is listening for the event click, and it's called cat button. All right. So when somebody goes and hits this cat button, whatever it is, I don't know if it's a div or if it's a button, but I look over here, it's a button. So whenever somebody hits that button, this is everything beneath it. This code is going to be called. All right. Event listener for clicking hash cat button. Okay, excellent. All right, line number 19. Jeff.
Let's see. URL for the API.
Excellent. URL for the API. Okay, everybody clear on that? So I'm creating a URL. Looks like it's a Giphy API, and I have an API key and all that stuff. I'm making a URL that I'm going to call. Okay. All right. What's happening in line number 22 to 25? Let's see. Roland?
It's the Ajax call.
Excellent. It's the Ajax call. What was that?
It's calling that.
It's calling this link, yes. Yeah. And what are the 2 arguments that I need in this one?
The URL and the method.
Excellent. So the URL is important and the method. All right. URL is the one that's specified over here. And the method is get. This tells the API that I need to get some information back. Okay. keep going. What about this one, the then one? They kind of go together, so that's why I'm going to ask you. What's happening over here?
The response, that's what, that's the information you're getting back. The object.
Excellent. Everybody good? So this then function always have the response or data or information that is coming back from the URL. Coming back from the URL. Any code that you want to capture, you want to get the data back, which is coming from this URL, you put it in the then function. Okay? Dante, line number 31.
So on for declaring variable for the image URL,
Okay?
and we are referencing the object response.
Okay. So what is response?
That's a function.
Response is a function. Try again. Response is not a function. It's a parameter, yes. And what does response holds? Okay. So response, anybody else? What does response has? Yes. It's a JSON object. You got it, Dante? So response is the JSON object that has all the data, right? And what am I now with this information, Dante? Now you know response is a JSON. What's going on after these dots?
So it's basically calling referencing something within
Yes, excellent. So looking at this, looks like the response JSON object has another object maybe like data, and then within data there is another property called image original URL that's pulling back and putting it over here. Okay. All right. Any questions on this? This is JSON parsing. What is it?
That was me. Would that be called parsing?
Yes, you are parsing the JSON. Yeah, exactly. All right, line number 34. Chess.
We're declaring a cat image variable, and we're going to kick it out to this image. We're going to work on we're creating a new I guess image tag inside the
Excellent.
HTML. We're going to kick this cat image out to
Excellent. So we are creating a new HTML tag which is of type image. All right, everybody clear on that? Remember we did this on Saturday, and that's how you create a image tag. Could be a div, button, anything. All right, excellent. So let's see, Matt, line 37, 38.
We are setting the source attribute for the cat image HTML tag to the image URL that we pulled in.
Okay, yeah.
Now we're setting the default attribute to the default cat image.
Excellent. So basically what I'm doing is image source is equal to some URL, and then alt is equal to cat image, right? That's what I'm doing in HTML. This is what you would do if you do it in your HTML. All right. Last one, Connor. Line number 41. So what do you think is hash or hash images? It's an image. Okay. What does the hash sign tell you? Is it a class or is it ID? It's an ID. Excellent. So there's an ID called images. So let's go back up here. Look at our HTML, line number 11. So there's a div with it which has an ID, images. Okay. Excellent. So what is going on after that now? Do you remember append? The append function? What does the append function do? So append function is, it appends this thing, this variable to this ID. Okay? What is cat image? Cat image is basically your image tag. Okay. So what does prepend do? If append does this, so append adds it towards to the end. What does prepend do? Yeah, it kind of adds to the beginning. So of this div, it kind of appends before this div. Not before the within this div, but it will always add a new image in the beginning. So it will do this source, let's say first image. Okay. If I'm trying to add the second one, it's going to add on the top.
Is there a big difference between the append function and the after function?
What after function?
Because there's an after function I saw too. That's
They might try it out. They might be doing the same thing. I'm exactly not sure what the difference is. I'll have to look at the documentation and see what exactly it does. Yeah, but it seems like after, yeah, it kind of adds it after something. Okay. All right. Let's run this really quickly to make sure this is running. Magical cat button. Okay, so basically it is getting cat images.
Go. Don't worry, guys.
All right. All right. Any questions on this one? Everybody got the exercise? What's going on? All right. So let's do the next one. So the TAs will slag this one out, and let's see what you guys have to do in this one. The triggered button triggered. This is number 13. 1-3. Actually, in this folder. Okay, look at the starter code and then what we discussed before. Make sure this starter code is working. Okay, it has comments, what you have to add. Similar to the cat one, this should, instead of cat, this is showing celebrities this time. Okay. So look at the existing one. Okay, looks like you have to create 2 more celebrities and then make sure that this is working. If there is any error or something, do a little debugging, make sure this is working. And let's do it. We'll take 10 minutes for this one. It's not a huge exercise. It looks like from the comments, but it's not. You just have to make sure that this is running, and you can add 2 more buttons too on the top. That's all. I thought this was your gift that was coming up. Yeah, right. I was kind of impressed. Oh man, disappointing. Yeah, added something and oh man, that was disappointing. Uh, right. Anybody totally confused what's going on over here?
No.
What all?
This has been a rather easy one.
Okay. Yeah. What do you have to do? That's it. Okay. Yeah. You can, yeah, you just need to add this button one more, change few names, and that should do it. Right? There's no
But it's calling already from that.
right, right. Yep. So everything is actually done for you. Yeah. That you change the limit? Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah. So basically you just create a new button here. Data person, and then you give somebody's name and put oops. Put quote here and then the name of the person. Okay, so this exercise was more for you guys to look at what's going on over here and how we are calling, what are the results, and how you are appending to everything, because in the next one this thing would not be done and you guys will have to do this part.
Let's make one up. Should try it. You can joke. Say, you said this. I put. Oh, yeah. Oh, now I want to see. Rise. Man is suffering. Trials and tribulations. And I want to see Macho Man. There's some good ones. There's some good ones. Boom. God bless them.
All right, everybody good? Can you move on to the next one? Any questions on this one?
Behind you.
Okay. So this was a easy kind of warm up one. Let's do the next one. Okay, let's see what this one is saying. Number 14, dynamic elements. So this one is also using the GIF. Let's take a look at the starter code first. Start from the top. Okay, it looks like I have 3 buttons. And then I'm using the Giphy API over here. Okay. On the button click, you are making an AJAX call. The then function is not complete this time. Okay. So we have to create our HTML elements, parse the response, and then show it on the screen. So you already have console log response over here. I would highly recommend run this file, look at the response in your console before parsing it so that you know what you are trying to extract out. And you need the image. Okay, there's the loop also. Okay, so you have to extract the image out of this response and then show it. Okay, it's very similar to the previous one. Previous one, you already had the buttons. You just had to add the button. This time you have the buttons. You need to extract, parse the response, and then show it in a nice HTML. Okay. The starter code should be in the Slack. Okay, yeah. So the first thing, go ahead and run this first. Make sure what's going on. Okay, so oops. Cancel. So I have 3 buttons and none of them work. Okay, so I'm getting the data back. So my AJAX call is working. I have the response. So look at the response, and then we have to extract out whatever image information that we need to extract out. Okay, look at the previous exercise code also, how it is extracting out. The only difference is the response parsing would be different. Okay, so it says create a variable results and store response dot data. So it stores response dot data. So let's console log this to make sure this is working. Results. Okay, so I'm logging all the data object from the response. Okay, so it looks like this is an array. It's an array of objects. Let's see, uncomment the for loop. Is everybody able to uncomment the for loop? Let's format this. Make a div with jQuery and store it in a variable named animal div. Okay, so create a variable animal div. This is going to be a new div. Okay, so I have a new div and I'm creating a new div here. The next one says make a paragraph tag with jQuery and store it in a variable p. Okay, so variable p is equal to dollar and then a p tag. Okay, set the inner text of the paragraph to the rating of the image in results I. Rating. Okay, so this is my array. Let's start with the first one. And where is the rating? Okay, there it is. So it's on the same level. I just have to do dot rating and this should come up. Okay, so what do you have to do? P dot text. And what it says, this is a rating. Ratings. And then results I, and it was dot, oops, forgot already. Dot ratings, and there's a dot rating. Okay, so copy this. Okay, everybody good so far? Make it image tag. Make an image tag called animal image. Var animal image is equal to dollar. This is going to be image. Okay. Set the image source to results. This is the property that they want you to use. Fixed height.url. Okay. So that is easy. Let's go ahead and use our animal image dot attribute function. Oops. Okay, and then we are setting the source, and the source is going to be set to results I. Is it exactly like this? I'm just going to copy paste and see if this is what it is. Dot fixed height dot URL. Okay, so let's go ahead and make sure that this is the property. So let me click this. Let's see. So according to this, results dot fixed height. I don't see fixed height. So, oh, it's here inside images. Okay, interesting. So it's inside the images object. So this is wrong. So I need to add dot images first. Okay. And then fixed height URL. Okay, let's look at fixed height. Oh, fixed height itself is also an object. Oh, this is a complicated one. Fixed height. So this is fixed height and then dot URL. Okay, I think I got it. They get it? Fixed images, then fixed height. Okay, and then there's a URL, dot URL. Okay, I think I got this one. All right, we'll test it out after this one. All right, append the p variable to animal tag. Animal div dot append the p tag, and then append the animal image to the variable. Okay, animal. Did I do this right? Animal image to animal div dot append animal image. Okay. Animal div has p and also has an animal image. That makes sense because this is the main div, and then I have p and animal image. Okay. What's the last step? Prepend to gifts appear here. Okay, is that an ID or a class? ID, so I'll do hash and then I'll just trust that this is the correct one. Okay, and then dot prepend. What am I prepending? Animal div. Excellent. Okay. Let's try this out. Oh, looks like it's working. Yay. Look at this one. All right. Everybody got it? Questions? Getting the hang of it? Yes. Okay. We'll extract that answer out of it.
Line 65.
Line number 65. Okay.
So you just started with doing the jQuery. So in that line it says two things that animal gives variable to the element with its ID of this here.
Okay.
So you naturally knew that it was jQuery that you were going to have to use to do that. Because two things is jQuery.
Correct. Yes. And we are using jQuery everywhere. All of these are jQuery. There you go. Okay. All right. Let's do the next one. The next one is very interesting and a little bit tricky too. Once you get that one, you'll be like, okay, that's really interesting, and that should be the last one, and then we'll proceed to our project. Pausing gifts. Okay, so I'm going to show you the what's happening, and then you guys see what's going on. Okay, so this is how the UI looks like. If I click any image, it's going to start animating. Okay, and if I click again, it's going to stop. If I click it's going to animate. If I stop, it's going to stop animating. Click, stops. Okay, now look at the code first. It's not as tricky as it looks like, but the way it is written, it has logic to it. Okay, so if you want to work in a group with a partner next to you, neighbor, first study the code before you try to work it out. This unsolved one, let's see what the unsolved one does. I think it only loads the images but doesn't do anything after that. It doesn't animate. So yeah, it's loading the images, but when I click, the animation is not working. So the point of this exercise is to make this animation work. It sounds difficult, but if you look at the code, it's actually not that difficult. But you will get it if you study the code and see what's going on. And please start from the top. Look at the HTML first, and then keep going down. Let's see if I can make it visibly pleasing. Okay, this is good. Again, it looks difficult, but if you realize what the code is, it's maybe like 4 or 5 lines. I think that's most. Who can explain the image tag in the HTML? Just the first one. Randy, you wanna take a stab at it? The image tag. What's going on in the HTML? Just the first one. Line number 10 to 15.
So it's just picked in the data source, which is that URL, and it's set into data still. So it's
Okay.
still picture.
So line number 11, what's in line number 11?
Oh, not, okay, I was looking at
Yeah, we'll come to 12. What's in line 11?
so that's just the URL.
There's just a URL and you're setting it to source. Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm more concerned what is this attribute doing.
It's loading,
Right, it's just setting the source basically, right? You write your image tag. What do you have to give? You have to give a source. It should be an URL that loads up on the web page. Right? That's all image this is doing. What is number 12? What is this attribute doing? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It's setting as a still picture. So it's setting that a Giphy
Yeah,
to data still.
data set, excellent. So Randy is saying that it is setting the data still to this Giphy image, which is correct, right? But if you look at what's happening, if I just look at this, I would say there's a data attribute. All right, this is the new one. Remember these data attributes. So there's a data attribute, and it is setting some information to this variable, data still. That's what it is in. Okay? Similar to the data still, I have another data attribute at line number 13, which holds some data. It looks like it's another GIF, right? Line number 14, I have another data attribute called state, and it is holding this word still. Okay, so basically in my image tag in my HTML, I have 3 data attributes. Okay, why do I have these data attributes? Because I want to read this information in my jQuery code. That's why I use the data attributes. Okay, I've saved this information on my HTML and then I read it in my jQuery. That's why I need those data attributes. Okay, so each of these images has a source and 3 data attributes. Okay, and then there's a class. This is a CSS class. Now, what is the importance of these? You have to look at the jQuery code to understand why do I have 3 data attributes over here? Okay, but understanding the HTML is important to know that I have 3 different data attributes and I need to use all 3 of them to make my code work. All right? I would even copy these URLs and then run it in the browser to see what each one is doing. Like this one, data still GIF. How is this different from the data animate one? So this is my still one. Doesn't look like a still one. And this is my animate one. Both of them are looking same. Interesting. I wonder if .gif makes this. Okay, so I missed the .gif part. Okay, so this is the still one, and this is the animated one. Okay. So all of these should be, all 3 images should be the same. If you look at the URL, there's an underscore S at the end. And this would give you the still image, and without the S gives you an animated image. Now what do I have to do when I click it starts animating? Anybody has any idea?
What?
No, how do I, you guys can keep working. If anybody kind of figured out how do I make this work? Roland? What is it?
I tried just changing the value of data still animate, but it didn't animate, so it's just
You change which one?
for the first one.
For this?
I changed still, I replaced data state still to data state animate.
Data state still to animate. Okay, and it didn't do anything. Right. And why didn't it do anything?
Because data state is just a variable for the browser doesn't know what it means.
Yeah, it doesn't know what it means exactly. Okay. Good observation. Yeah, it doesn't. None of these mean anything to the browser. It's for us. We have to do something. Roland, what do you have to add?
That was my idea.
Okay.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. So if you change this to animate, nothing is going to happen. Well, you have to change it, but you have to change it in a different way. But yeah, just changing it over here and doing nothing else won't do anything. These are just data attributes that are placeholders for us. Who said that? Change the source. Excellent. So everybody heard what Kyle is saying? He's saying change the source. Okay. Right now my source is still. Right? If I change it to the animate one, my image is going to be animated. That's a good starting point. So the end result is I need to change my source. How do I change my source? I use jQuery to change my source, right? I can use jQuery to change my source. So you have to write some jQuery to change the source to this one, that whatever the element has. How do you update that source in jQuery? That's the solution for this one. Jeff, you got it? Excellent. Yep. You need to use the attribute method. All right. Yeah. But how do you determine which one?
Source.
Because you remember the exercises, I click, it starts animating, and then when I click again, it stops.
I was thinking of the if then statement.
What is it?
I was thinking of a if else statement.
Exactly. Excellent. Yeah, that's the right path. You have to use a if-else statement. That's why we have the state. So other than the source, you need to update the state also. All right. You have to, if you click and the state is still, it should go to animate. And if the state is animate and you click again, it should go back to still. Similarly, how you're going to switch the source to one of these, in jQuery you have to switch the state also. That's like the pseudocode part of it. Now how do you do it in the code? Let's see. Okay. So how do I, let's start with, how do I get the state? How do I get the state from the above HTML?
So I don't know if this is right, but this is what I did. I did var state jQuery this dot attribute method state.
Yep, excellent. That's how you get the state. So what Michael is saying is, how do I get this state? What is this? This is an attribute. So you just have to use the attribute function to extract the state out. So you can say var state is equal to $this dot attribute, and which attribute am I trying to get? Data dash state.
This is like just a lot.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Okay. Everybody kind of getting an idea? What am I doing? I'm extracting the state out. Now at this point, after line 35, I know if it is still or if it is animate. Now as John suggested, you can use your if else to switch around the source. So if else, and what Kyle suggested, that I need to switch the source now. John, what do you think is going to be the if else statement?
If and put the source URL.
If.
If
So what am I checking? Huh?
switch to attribute.
If what? Say that again.
If data dash still is true, what to
No. Let's go back. So what did I extract out? The state, right?
yes.
So what do I need the if else on? What am I going to check? If the
State, you got state.
data state, yes. If the data state is still or it is animate. So I already have this variable state over here, right? Line number 35.
Yes.
So what do I say? If state is equal to still. That's it. Then I have to do something, and then I can add my else. Else, I don't have to say else if state is equal to animate, because there are only two states, still or animate. Okay? Alright, any questions so far? Everybody kind of getting the hang of it? What's going on? So this is again a little bit trickier to understand, but the code is literally 4 or 5 lines and it's done. But the main thing is, how do you understand what's going on between these? Now, if my state is still, when I click, what should it do? It should go to animate. Okay. Now, Kyle was suggesting to change the source attribute. So what do I need to do to get this working? jQuery selector and then this, right? Everything is this inside over here. Okay. Dot attribute. Excellent. Which attribute am I changing first? Okay. So let's start with the source. Doesn't matter actually, but let's start with the source. And what do I need to change the source to?
That's animate.
The animate attribute. So how do I get the animate attribute out?
jQuery selector.
jQuery selector.
Just six.
Yeah. Now let's do that. Let's do that. That's cleaner. So var. What do I call this? Image. I call it animate. Okay. Var and animate. Okay. How do I store this? This. Okay.
Dot attribute and just set it to
Okay. So I'm extracting the attribute data animate. And what does data animate has? It has a URL, which is the moving one, which is the animated one. Okay. Now what do? I set this to animate variable. Okay. Is that it, or do I need to set something else now? Okay, excellent. So I need to update the state also, because at this point my state is still, but when I change my source attribute to the new one, I need to update my state also. Now the state is animate. Okay. So similar to the previous one, I'm just updating this attribute to data state attribute to animate. Okay, so what happens when I click now? If the state is still, it will come here, it will get the URL, and then update the source, update the images, this source. Now my source is the animated one. And then I'm going to update my state to animate. Let's complete the else also. Else, what does else means? Else if the state is animate. Now I want to stop this. So I can do the same thing. It's else, but I'm saying what does else means?
No, like the format. Do you write if and else, or if and else space if?
Say that again. I'm not using else if. Yeah. Yeah, because there's only two state. It's either still or it's animate. Okay. So I change this to still, and this time I'm getting the still attribute. Okay. And then I set this to my still attribute. Okay. And what is my state going to be this time? It's going to be still. Excellent. So change my state to still. And there it is. Again, it wasn't very difficult. The only difficult part is to understand how the HTML is doing and what. It's basically tricking. It's not actually animating it. It's loading a different image, which actually is a GIF. That's all it is doing. It's like switching around. It's not like a true animation, to be honest. Okay? All right, any questions on this one? Yes, Doug.
This one's just a little bit confused.
Yes.
So like on line 43 and line 51, when you put quotes around still and animate, what exactly is that?
Okay, so what am I saying? What does this function do? This attr. Okay, attribute. What is an attribute? It's an HTML attribute, right? Like source. So what am I saying here? I'm saying get this data state attribute. And where is this? It's over here within this image, right? So I'm saying get this attribute and change the value of this attribute to animate. Okay, why? Because right now on line number 39, what is the value of
I'm looking at animated code before you have animated codes, and I didn't realize they already made it available.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So, yes, right.
This is kind of jumping back. Data dash leaf thing just means you can define that.
Yeah. User div. That's what it means. Yep.
That's like, yeah.
You can use it for. You see the how powerful this is. You can create multiple data attributes and use this in your code.
That's what I didn't get from the last homework when I was trying to assign
Right.
values to it. But now I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy.
Right. Just don't store the whole JSON inside your data attribute, but otherwise it should be okay. Yeah. I mean, again, it's there's no limit to it. It's the memory of your computer, I guess. But again, and this is a new attribute in your HTML5. It does not exist in previous versions. So if you are creating a website that supports previous versions, this won't work. Okay? All right. So we'll take a break in just like 3 minutes. Before we go on, I will quickly show you the project and then we will go from there. So I already have the URL here. Let me pull it up. So for the rest of the class time, this is our goal. New York Times, yes. So I have posted a URL on Slack, and this is what you guys have to build. All right, no, right now, and like the remaining until 9:30. Yeah, not over.
Before you leave.
Before you leave. All right, so this is going to be the end result. There's an API behind it, New York Times API. Okay, this is the UI that you have to build. You can search anything. Oh, I already searched. So let's suppose I search Obama. Let's. So it should give me. It should give me some articles. Okay, and if you see, these are optional. All right, if I don't put anything, it should give me the whatever the latest ones are. Okay, and I have the numbers to retrieve. It is a drop down 1, 5, or 10. If I do 10, it should give me 10 results. All right, you see how they are nicely labeled. Okay, and then you can search. Let's see. And I think it goes quite. Let's say. Okay. All right, so this is the end goal, and ideally by the end of the class I would really like it if you guys are able to deploy this on your GitHub also. Deploy on your GitHub, send the GitHub IO link or the project link, whatever. I click it and it shows up over here. Okay, this is the end goal, and we are going to be working in groups of 4, and between the 4 people, 2 are going to be front-end developers and 2 are going to be back-end developers. The front-end's job is to come up with this UI. The back-end's job is to study the API that is behind it. It's all in the instructions. Study it, and how do you extract this information out and give it to your UI. So among your team, you will have to decide who's going to do the UI and who's going to do the back-end. All right? And I have my favorite random generator. These are the groups. Let me know if somebody is missing. I think I got everybody. Kyle, you're not there? Oh, you're there. Group 4. You're not there? All right, pick one. Group 5 or 6? Group 5 or 6?
I don't want to flip aside.
All right.
Raise your hand.
Took it away.
All right, I did a random and you are in group 6.
I think
Group 6.
yeah, over there.
All right.
Most of us are over there.
So let's form the groups and then take a break. We'll come back. We'll start this at 8 o'clock.
We got it. The winning group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's smiling for you. The winning group.
If you did one,
You're not even on there. I don't want. Wait. We got. I guess we should just congregate around here.
There's a lot of space.
No, you're not.
we're just looking at you making noise.
I'm just like, got a headband on. What's happening?
Is that you?
I knew it was.
Yeah.
Storm over here. Ah. Maybe cyclones or whatever you want. Psychic blades and shit. Right. See, look. Even if I don't get it, it's easier if you write it down. You know?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't care if I don't know it. I don't care if I jack it from somewhere else. The idea is using it and then you understand what is happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes, like, people think differently. And sometimes you can simplify things and see other people do.
Yeah.
But
But the best way is you do it first, and then you look and you, oh yeah, I could have done this better. And trust me, that's how everybody learns, and that's how I have learned.
yeah.
All these things, somebody has done it, and I look at their and I'm like, oh, you know what? Next time if I do it, I'm going to do it this way. That's
This
how I
one
do
made
it.
me feel less stupid just because it was like some of the other ones I didn't even finish completely.
Okay.
Like, I don't understand why parse is not what. But this, I kind of saw it all in one, you know? So I was like,
Let's see. Group 3, Laura, Bryce, and Jill.
Is that right here?
Jill and Laura. Yeah. Oh, he's that white shirt, black cap.
Can you just say it's on the board so I
Group 6.
my name? So she,
Group 6.
my name is not on there, right? It's like it's really throwing me off. Because Brandon was talking to me, I'm like, okay,
scale it sign rolls. Front end. You back end.
Doesn't your Slack say BRIE?
Who's more confident is what?
Alright.
Are you feeling back end?
I'm feeling like back end.
Whichever you're more comfortable with, do the
BRI, BRI? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some design on designs.
Right.
I will do it back end. I don't know if it's as simple as that. It's always. I guess.
So we'll start at 8 if you want to take a break. If not, I think Nick has already stacked out the instructions.
Wait, what? No, I'm back end. She's like front end, and she's like. I added that part.
It's all the eyes.
So, yeah, I like the back I just feel, I mean,
On the shuffle. I guess we
Yeah, I was
use
gonna
all,
say either, but it's on.
I guess
Ricky
IDs
dropped
and
it.
everything.
Oh wait. Fine. Hey.
That game goes into one together.
Why don't you just go over there?
That sounds
Because
like
it's easier.
a very disturbing way.
Yeah. No, look, you go. Look, there's a seat right there. Then it's easier.
Damn, man,
No,
you
you
took
don't.
it, not me.
You come here.
I'm doing that.
Joffrey,
Oh,
just move
okay.
the table like they did last
Get out of here.
Hey, we're still on the same team.
Nah, man.
time. Table.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't really want to look at them. So I like
Well,
this.
they're not
Hey,
funny.
hey, hey.
Whoa. Hey, they're front end. We back here. Okay.
So you
Wow, but
IDs
they're
are
still
gonna use.
Oh, I get. You know, in the programming world, we're all against each other. It's back end versus front end. In the war,
But today, we're all very together. Not mistake, we're all one.
yoga is not today. Maybe tomorrow I will have more columnists.
Oh,
They
yeah.
back in biceps. I'm pumped up.
Oh wow.
This group thing is to make you guys work together. I think you're missing the point over here.
The group party is
Trying to figure out
All right, I
the
will.
instructions.
Yeah.
I'm Jack.
You should put my name. I was having to go personally.
Yeah.
That was a little punk.
Developer, being a founder.
It says the page cannot be found. Oh, I have to sign in.
I'm going to update the. I'm going to send you the link. I mean, you can click the home and get to there.
I have to create an account. And it wants. Oh, it's just.
So I posted the link to get started and. Alright, there it is.
It's the give-tastic one, right? Is the next one up? Because jQuery, I think, was due
Today?
Tuesday or today, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's give-tastic because I don't remember showing that one yet.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good. This one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gift-tastic.
Yep. Cool.
All from scratch.
That's child's play. That's right. You gotta kick him in the pool sometimes.
There. Kick him in the pool.
I'm gonna say that now. You know what, Mom and Dad, you gotta
No, my dad did that.
I'm gonna say that in therapy, legit.
I can't be held accountable. I won't be held accountable for that stuff.
And I thought, I'm holding down for the great thing.
Yes, I do have time. I think I will be able to do that. Any pressure is on. Waiting for you, get the bio link now.
Just
It says API calls.
If you want, if we want the API keys, we're gonna have to create that within the website.
Extra.
If we call the other APIs.
Open. That's just that.
Yeah.
So I feel like one of the problems
Search.
Or this is an
Oh, that's it.
Oh, okay.
I can send it to you. But I have it sidetracked.
hey, wait, what do they know? Maybe it's related.
No.
He was like getting sidetracked. And I'm like, hey, you don't know.
That's John.
This is not related, but I put it in the Slack.
That is John.
Okay.
Not a kid. So breathe.
Yeah, but that's how you use online and set up post Love blonde woman.
So, we already did that. So it was a harmless search, of course. We were one step ahead of the That's why you're backing. Okay.
Maybe one day I'll be making this back and stop.
No maybes. Okay. You don't wish because you're not a genie. You just make it happen. You don't like that.
I did not.
Call me butter. I'm on the road.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, okay. Where the Heroku thing? Right. So, let's put in. So, I don't get anything to register. To make something? It doesn't seem right.
No, we'll be okay. We have keys now. We have API keys. Now just need to get familiar with how they're structured as the JSON. JSON. This didn't sound right. Jason might have said Jason sent us all emails.
He did.
One of them was wrong.
Right.
Yeah. I can't call it Jason now that I know he's real. It's Jason. I'm gonna name my son Jason. Then you'll all see.
Yeah.
What's up?
It's not getting. Just like practice. Like exercise. Yeah. It starts with basic.
Yeah, I'm gonna send that to my
On it, literally, you just do it over. You just keep doing it over and over. And you're like, oh, I do this now. And yeah, what functions are already what's the same? It isn't just the same, and you feel stupid.
I don't know what
It's really complex. And those guys are the
that's why I was
same.
curious.
Yes.
Are you thinking we would use lab share on this or whatever?
Whatever you guys want to work on one computer, that's also fine. You guys want to do a live share, whatever works for you. As quick as possible, you can do the setup.
Okay, yes, because for the,
Well,
for
so
the back end,
looking at,
So who's the back end, who's the front end? Huh? Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. So do you guys are thinking two front ends or one front end and two back ends?
where the
What's
dynamic
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
So all of this is essentially static. With that,
But my thing is how do
you don't need to do it anymore.
Again, you guys are thinking too far ahead. Let's first start the team. That is a small piece. That's why I've divided this into phases. So first decide on the team, and then the front end kind of look through it. Already posted the link of the actual working one. So go through it and see what you need. So right now, front ends, both are separate. You don't have to worry about how you're going to link right now. Start with this, and you guys have to. A lot of future things. Yeah. Let's start small. Let's get this phase done, and then we'll come back to it. Yeah, yeah. You'll be able to link. Trust me.
Isn't it? Right. Isn't the bad example come on with it? Okay, so you just tack this on.
All right. So this phase, front end people are looking at this page and trying to understand what it takes. Simple Bootstrap by look of it. So just use Bootstrap, create this template, and the backend people are looking at the APIs. All right. I posted the correct link on Slack. Look at those APIs, get the API key, understand how to make that call before even you start the code part, especially the backend. You need to study and understand what the URL you need, what are the arguments that you need, and how do you code comes after that. Okay. I'll be posting different phases, but don't wait on it. If you're done with this, move on to the next one. We'll end this exercise around 9:20. And then instead of going through this exercise, I mean, there's nothing separate. I'll post a video solution. You guys can look at it. And then Nick will go over the homework for next week. Okay?
Like where it has like the little.
Oh, you have 4. I thought there were 3 people.
No, that's what I was saying. You have to wait here.
That's what
I'm doing future thinking, like, okay, so we're waiting for all that, so I'm just going to solve all the other pieces. Yeah, it happened because you forgot about it.
No. Oh, so everybody is 4 now? That would be awesome. No, Randy, that team is still.
Fair enough. Separate as it normally is.
So I'm gonna go take a look more so at the other things.
That is what you want. Just clicked around. Make a new app. Oh, let me read. Yeah, right now, paper.
They like to know who's doing it. So let's see.
Flipping the coin. That's like the worst way to choose a team. Play to your strengths. Yeah, okay, awesome. Don't say coin flip.
If I run it, my life shares and run on the live servers.
You know, definitely that I am up for this. So filter your strength. Separate.
Oh, you guys are back.
I know it's not my thing. I'm working on. I know. I know it's not my thing.
Are we doing front end? Super arts. Nice. What reference?
Oh,
Yeah, they're almost ready for us
I don't think so.
So what do we
I don't think we're needing to
Hey,
Yeah.
Oh, get started. Here we go.
The byline is. So it's like that.
Is that all it is? Oh yeah, I guess it is the Bible. Okay.
Make one up.
That's why I was showing it to everybody that hopefully everybody got the hint, but yeah, make sure it's columns and rows and all that. Please make sure it is responsive also.
Whoa, hey, buddy.
Come on, you're using Bootstrap.
I'm just kidding. I'm back in.
Oh, you're back in? Okay.
They won't let us change the app to match Swift.
That makes sense.
That's cool.
So now
Yes. Oh, because it's dates like you had, you would want to go sign.
Yes. Good old Bootstrap.
That's why I just yanked that, because I consider everything. jQuery, try that out.
Oh wait, that's that one.
You clicked on the two and it had
This is the actual working, that's what you got. This is what you're trying to do. So you can put, and this is a working solution.
yeah,
So it's like whatever
You don't gotta go to jQuery, just stay with us. Bootstrap.
that's what you're trying to determine.
because when your directions say, hey, do the name and you create, then I
What are these money signs?
yeah. Where's this money going? Who's it for?
I like that though, the computers are only as smart as the information we give them. So, sometimes it makes you feel
What I
stupid,
had
but
in
it's
mind
your own fault.
Is that what? Oh, right.
Boom.
If it serves this purpose, it's fine. I haven't looked at that. But I had on it.
So this is an object.
No.
This is
What did you put in as the search word? Just the regular.
just
That's
election.
when I stacked
It was election.
Yeah.
Oh, so you use the same things. Add an FQ. Then you could like break it down. Or you can go to like news, pick which one you want, like go to news or other forum.
Oh my god, I'm just thinking about what we have to do to make sure that it's explaining the right articles. My head just exploded.
Well, yeah, like this is.
Because we have to be able to. It's. Oh man, do you know what it is?
Yeah, I wasn't,
Format.
It's just I'm thinking ahead towards the bottom.
You have it.
What's up?
This is the format it's gonna be, or whatever.
Don't worry about it. I'm not even talking about this.
Bootstrap should have
I'm talking about when we get here. Did you look at the source? So we're gonna have to write something that looks at start year 98 you see what I'm saying? Where like it has to.
Well, that's those other parameters. That's what I'm talking about.
One that will be
Don't kill my joy of searching for you sports or election-related things.
It's all joy. It's pure learning joy. Especially considering we don't know how to do it. Yes, that's the right attitude.
Publication date right there. Yeah, this one. Publication date. Left edge and grams? Headline search is left edge and grams. Okay. Daniel, I love
Yeah.
how what is that? What do these things mean?
What?
Okay, I got multiple tokens, left edge and grams.
I'm assuming multiple tokens literally just means a passing to us.
I don't want to assume that because right underneath it says left edge and grams. Like that's some kind of snack.
So the behavior.
There's a lot of left edge and grams.
So we're looking at the filter query fields on the overview of the documentation of the open search.
Yeah.
So you guys went here.
The multiple tokens, the single one, I get that
Almost
one.
makes sense. Almost.
Well, yeah.
Okay. And then you guys went here.
So yeah, you scroll down.
Or overview, if you click the overview resources, on the
Okay.
Wait, you have them there?
Where is it?
No, go on the left, on the overview button where it says overview.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was just looking at, I was in headline. Because I was trying to see, like, selected by the headline. Okay. So, well, maybe it should be articles. Now I'm confused. But anyway, it said that the filter query field has like body and its behavior is
Where do I click?
Oh, click on headlines.
Headline?
Yeah, on the left. So, that's weird.
So if you go to just overview and then scroll down.
Is it on that one?
Okay.
Oh yeah, okay, there's
So you see how it says the body and then the behavior is multiple tokens. I'm just kind of curious what left edge and grams. Yeah, what that means.
some of them sort of make sense. Like, hey, it's looking for a timestamp.
So I think n-grams means the anagrams. Look at this. I just googled n-grams.
Oh, it's an n-gram.
Yeah. So n-gram, it is breaking this into multiple search terms.
Oh, so it looks at like each part of that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's how it finds everything.
Right.
Literally breaking like. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like. But I don't know if you even have to go there. This one should give you what you are looking for. I'm here, I'm just over here, API reference. I just click this one. And this is what you need, the begin date, end date. What else do we need? FQ. Oh, there it is. FQ. This is what you need. Filter query. Oh, sorry. Oh, there it is. Query string. So again, try this and see what's coming back.
Huh? See, I want to see what you guys got so far so that I can freak out about how little I got.
Whoa.
So,
I mean, bring money.
So it has everything that.
right, so yeah, so it's the year 2012, and then so the team can see it from December 31st.
Oh, so for
Yeah. It's really hard to see it when you just
Alright, okay.
That's fine. I mean, you can copy that. But if you copy it, make sure you understand it. Because I mean, you can go to any web page and look at the elements, right? And see all the HTML. But you know, it comes down to sending page extra requests to the editing for New York Times, manipulating that right above the end. Example, or is it like do you find out the working example for the New York Times? Is it black? Oh, it was? Okay.
Which one is it? Oh, this thing?
Oh, this, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's posted on your Roku. Yeah, I mean, you
What's
can copy
the
it, but that's no fun, right?
copy what? Oh, like right
Well,
click
yeah,
and
like you
inspect?
can, you can inspect and like look at all the HTML and stuff, but that's no fun. Kind of defeats the purpose of coming here.
Right, okay, I just look at that.
Are you doing the front end or? Okay. So look at how everything's kind of structured, and in Bootstrap, see if you can kind of pick out which elements coincide with which pieces. That'll give you a good idea of where to kind of start, right? So this, kind of looks like a jumbotron, right? It's not really an outline. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good start. And then this right here, I mean, all the form fields, Bootstrap, forms, you'll be able to see how to make it look like this, the buttons. I don't know if they have panels or not, but that's another hint.
I mean, I would say more like a safety. Their fault.
All right, we are on phase 2. Again, keep with the flow. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm just putting some hints out there for phase 2.
Remember, kind of like teasing you. Okay. I did. I was just reading one. I think it was yesterday. And it was like, you preach your free will. This is America. There is no limit on free. There is no limit. They try to stop you though, or if you go incognito inside, you're still need a bag. No, that's great.
I know, I want to be sure I'm not.
How we doing? You all good? Yeah. Well, that's okay. Take your time. We still got plenty of time. Are you guys still working on structure and everything like that? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Moving along.
Okay, so just one big giant site.
You're gonna do the Ajax call.
Yes. But I think what we have to use.
Yes. Take it. It doesn't matter what.
Yeah, so that's why when
Yeah, so we just need to figure out which one. Yeah, so we need to find out which ones we want. Piece them apart and then separate it into I just called mine blog. Oh, New York Times.js, but it's that way. Whatever. So okay, so it's in the docs. So the docs dot responsive.
Right. With that
Right.
So we don't ever refer to the.
But it's not just a parameter that we call it.
Yeah, so we can call it something else.
Yeah, we can call it whatever.
that would be better.
Every time there's something big, I'm making it right.
That's what I was going to actually start sitting
To bring something here. Everyone's not good. Keywords.
Doesn't that feel weird? You're like, hey, I was looking at this like last month. Don't.
So what are you doing?
Get response. So I'm trying to get. I guess not the sleeper.
This is a whole thing. This is a whole thing. This side. I'm like, I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, yeah, I can't. So it looks like, so
If you're in JavaScript, it'll tell you very loudly.
is it two? Is this this?
So if you look inside here, running on it. So first you have to look so those are actually those are CSS classes for icons. So you can see that in the comments down there, there's an icon. I'm sorry, an icon. So the whole thing is that we're adding all of the icon for response. You can see that this is all inside of the
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, response on dogs. Oh, response on dogs.
Because I think this is in the case of using like icons and stuff like that, it's bad to use columns.
Right.
I'm not saying that. So it'll look kind of long unless you have a sense of the think of columns.
What makes it very special?
Whenever you make columns, anything has to have like more than just like
Magically?
yeah. So you can see pages that
Strings, numbers,
index this, have a header, and then they have like a sidebar with like links and stuff. So this would be, you know, 2 or 3 columns, and then this would take care of 0. And so with icons, you can literally just have an icon, you know, right next to something.
This is one of our array. Yes. So now we're able to access
Wouldn't it be index though? Because we want to see the index.
Even though it's on
I'm like, where's this?
I wonder if it's having a problem whereby it already, so at the very top, whenever you tell it it also so we're like,
No, I think it's
almost
about
yeah. So let's try to once you do that,
right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the challenge.
both.
Yeah. Finish up the structure with what it has.
You're not sure that it matters.
At least make sure you're
So,
reading that up
so like,
data.
yeah. So
Like the headline is go ahead and make go ahead and make
All right.
one thing.
No, that was reference. That was putting things together and doubting it.
Why would you doubt me? That's not what this class is about.
It's all about doubting.
No, this class is about believing in each other.
So right now you really don't need to
Oh, okay. Well, we got that then. All right, guys. So what else do we need?
So let's try.
There's the byline.
I got it. Freezing. Oh, hits.
yeah.
Let's just see if this essentially nothing should have changed. I was telling it to go into the input parameter of the list. Input parameter. That's why I wasn't working with it. I added that makes it work. Yeah. So like now we have a short way of getting to that thing, and then it'll take somewhere. The whole
Let's just get the file. Alright, working bit by bit. What is the file? Right to somewhere on
So it's
if that's the ID on the button, that'll trigger
objects inside of it. Like, why?
Okay, I'm gonna blow your mind. You just start on what you go
can basically be like, okay, if I want to pick whatever array, you can just make really point 0. But then if you put an object within that array, then it would be like have 0 dot whatever the name of the object is, and then if it's like 2.
Whether or not we can get the response, go through it, parts it ourselves,
Well, that is true. I mean, keeping it simple, because what you just did was simplifying that a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, that's it right
That's one.
No, the only thing I'm saying is it's special.
Yes. Go ahead and paste that in there.
Because it has like a line. Yeah. Is that like front of the byline? Good idea.
Now, I wonder
Alright guys, what's going on? Oh, you're learning. Hey, we've had a couple of things going on. So, see how they're displaying but I don't get it. Well, I don't know if that how it's displayed. So you just need to know how to access that information. Yeah, I guess that's how it's all now. Yeah, and hopefully foster that. Sure they will. Why not? Good. Is that more than what is the most efficient way
yeah, that's what I was like. Oh wait, so it's just
don't do that anymore. Oh. Okay, I guess I just something. Oh, I see what it is. It's a special graph.
Oh, is this
I was reading about it, about how hey, put the tag here so you limit to 5. It's funny, I was literally doing the same thing. Change the page. Yes, that was how was that you can know how many pages you want to display or which page you want to show. So you can tell to display page 2 or page 1, which has results 11 and 20, or page 0, which has results 10. Have to make sure that you on your script tag and have a dash line already. So that way, run ahead of it, you get. You can see the data.
I wonder if it's just something that we'll have to write ourselves, where it just returns the first five or whatever. You know what I mean? Change the for loop. Yeah, like change it and be like, hey, only print five things that you want. I mean, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, you want to put it in there?
I feel like that's the point of the assignment. Yeah. I can't think of another way to do it.
All the other ones had
They might, it literally might just be something that maybe the guy can think about. Whereby we can just like, oh, we'll just have it solved that way. Yeah.
There's no way to change it.
What up, guys?
It has to be something that they did it.
What's up, guys? Still some work.
Yeah, so we're in phase 2. We're in the create
Origin
transfer of data between I'm searching it back.
Well, you just have to tell us the classes.
Yeah, let's. I just want to take a look at
Search query.
Yeah,
You know, the wheels turn slowly, but they do turn.
Yeah, you know how you're saying.
And then you created guilt. You created guilt. So then,
No, those poor puppies.
So yes, that's what we dropped out, but we'll have to put something. I don't know why. It's
But like
dark.
everything I'm seeing,
Where you want. Someone will have to put something. Because there's the values and everything. See if I can print some stuff out.
so how are you? So what we gonna do separate like variables for each one?
Yeah, so that's what I don't know. How to tell it to each. So it'll have to be like parameter response docs by length.
And do it.
You know what I'm
Thank you for your stickers.
This is okay. That's so many families.
Well, it's
Yeah, we're going to
You have to do something with that being in there. I mean, I know it's always like scope.
Well, move that up just to see if getting rid of the foreman does it. But we know that part is grabbing the object and it's getting the headline. I'm like, okay, just getting it. Yeah, so it's still doing it. It's like I told us. So the whole thing, I don't know, I don't want to say it's but before you can even call this, before you can it already has a response. And then open coordination inside of it to tell which array. And so we were trying to read through each one.
We took the title of the and it has an automatic. It'd probably be like the little weather and maybe like
Yeah, it seems like it just they choose to put that on. Some of them it was pulling them.
So we were just looking at what you guys.
All right, keep working. I've just put up phase 3. We'll end this around like 9:20, so you still have like half an hour to complete this one.
Where you go here, and so like, it's really hard to see, but this is one part.
What do you mean?
And furthermore than that, you couldn't just go in and print headline
for your search. So they could actually are when you make the Ajax call, obviously you pass in all the input to your way. So that's something that you gotta do inside there. And along with the Ajax calls. Because that's when you want to run it, right? Right. Yeah.
But it's just the only to run it.
I was like, why does it look like that?
Well, if you keep this out, do that, and do our for, because that's the issue. Though. Like once you start the for loop, this is inside of it. And I know because that was doing with the game. Like anytime I would have a for loop like variable, or even for your variable, you can just take off the var. I know that did it for me.
Let's try.
But if it's
I think what it is we're declaring this inside the for loop when this needs to exist outside.
Oh,
Just global enough.
So then,
I'm worried about.
I thought you noticed that part.
So we want it to exist for sure, but maybe we did want it to be something outside of the for loop so that it knows that it exists.
the results, just
It might have illuminated.
Well, okay, put it back in there. Put it back in there. Like, change that instead of the var. Like, seriously, take off the var and put it in there. We know that works.
So you're saying this?
Because I'm telling you, like, that happened to me when I had variables inside of for loops. Yeah, like, for some reason, I don't know why. It's always scope. But it was like when I took out the variable, I guess it was trying to access it, make it a global.
He doesn't have to do that. Pretty much. We
No,
don't have a way to
still
look
is.
at
But there's no error. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. There's lots to say about that.
Right. I mean, I got
I have an idea. Say,
Yeah.
try doing
we should keep all
Yeah, I did this too.
I just want to see if it works. And I don't know how many works anymore. I really was hoping to see it.
So this is the part where we would try to have like
It looks cool, doesn't it? It looks like it might do something. Whether or not it does.
yeah. It's just that if we do that,
It's annoying because it's
every time we search, it's going to give us But the thing that it was showing said
I
something
mean,
about limiting.
it's frustrating because one part is getting it. And just,
Yeah. It must be what can do it. It must be a lot of things.
it's how you're doing the for loop.
And here, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. So,
we're gonna have to create IDs for like the search term.
Let's get rid of the formal
oh, yeah, okay, yeah, so like the search term, yeah, search term number replaces
So if you put that outside of it, it doesn't.
So again, when it runs,
Yeah.
it's
Like almost like an execute of this, and then response time.
So
This is the same thing
that way because it's
give it a second.
right?
So gives us the headline, gives us the byline.
So normally when you're sure something done there, that just calculates to a number, just however many items are in that array. So instead of saying print out however many items in the array, we're saying print out. And the reason that we're not just putting 10 there is so that we're
Scratcher for me is just that we're only working with order radius. things that are dependent on faith you have to in the hand. So we don't know this.
But this you're saying select that one, right?
Search button.
Oh,
So there's no I then, right? Yeah. Maybe just back. But now that wouldn't work still, just because that's happening before. Stupid.
Maybe. We're just and I feel like maybe it's
No, we're not. Because like in this, okay, ideally, the format in this one, it creates a place to put the information. And then it goes with the class, blah, 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 the things you guys created, it assigns all that. It's not like, this is the, that's what it's always the same as goddamn.
Yeah, no, it's very similar. Maybe we don't even need salt. Maybe we just need this.
Well,
Right? Because we can just reset something. Just do it down, little jQuery selector, and throw this in there, right? And then hope that references it properly.
I wonder like how similar it is like
So, are you trying to pull all of them, correct?
Yeah.
But you can display them all without having to do it.
with that red.
So for each thing, search.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm trying to figure out.
But okay, so what are you trying to constantly so it shows all of them? It's like all of the whatever.
For all 10 classes.
Yeah.
Well,
What? Instead of that, we have that would be
Right, so we want to do something. That's what it shows. Saying input is
response docs 0. So input is response docs.
So here are all of our IDs so far.
Let's try it.
Let's just do something else. To just do something else. Right? So let's just
So I have buttons. I have the container that's holding like the search questions.
What are you guys stuck on? What happened?
Buttons.
we're just trying to console log.
This is where the article
So like when we make
where all the
a
articles.
request,
Okay.
we're just trying to console log all of the headlines and all of the bylines too.
Okay.
Without writing too much code.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's is it giving you an error?
It is not console logging.
We're trying to make a
We're trying to make a for loop within the then function to go through the place where all of the objects, so each article is an object, and then that's stored within an array.
Okay.
And we call that array docs.
Okay.
So we try to access, we wrote a for loop to try and access
Okay.
the docs at I
Okay.
from 0 to You know,
Okay.
everything got
Okay. Yeah, that sounds.
and it,
That
it's
sounds
not
good.
like I
But when we
said,
put the parameter, like we put the variable inside the for loop, then it just doesn't. You're creating new classes.
so we were having the first thing that I noticed is that they didn't have creating, properties. So calling your using so we gave it license and then just so that I can have this reference.
So if you console object input,
So this will do exactly what it wants. You can also search for Google too, like jQuery is yeah, you can
Did you see the icon for that one?
well, I think dot balance. I don't know what's called. You can also it's just bring you like a couple results.
first you want to remove the index 0
And you can
from
read
the
about
without the just yeah, no index. It's an array, right?
yeah,
So just
just that. Because isn't that always, I think that might be their problem then.
so and then remove console comment these two lines, the console log. Yeah, and just console log input. That's all. I don't want to go inside input here. Just console log. So what you guys are saying is the array, so it should give me console log. You can open this array. Okay, so it says array open index. So this is
Okay, so this is all.
oh, so this is objects. Okay, so show me a part. There we go. So it's an array of
Yeah,
objects.
that kept
It was literally
first
just
bracket.
on the array.
Oh, you guys were like
Yeah. Very well. It'll take too long for me to explain what went wrong.
We're thinking.
Yeah. No.
Sure.
See, I was having set up like brackets with the eye.
oh, there it is.
But I would say input was always that one.
Maybe. Well, I actually changed it to term. It's just so you can get all the URLs.
It's because I'm a dumb
Yeah.
Now midline is looking for literally an eye. You can say, that's right. We just need that area. There we go. Nice.
So you have your content in the middle.
Where's the
So it's 9:05, and this would be a good time if you're at a point where you can start merging the front end and the back end, if any team is there. If not, then just keep. What is it? What?
We keep breaking.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm just saying, if you're at a point, this would be a good point to start merging the code. But if you're not there, just keep using it. What are you guys stuck on? Whatever.
Maybe that's the one we need to.
You think so? I just have to should I share the live stream so that we can? Okay.
It is not defined, so take it out. For me.
Yes.
It should at least see that, right? Yes, he's starting somewhere else. That's why. Oh, so now it's here now. See, where the original are. I don't remember original. Yeah. You don't have to look and see behind you. Oh yeah, that's mine. So why is that one not working?
Currently just trying to fix our wall.
I just don't understand why all this is punctuated in the form
Right now we are just trying to figure out.
I do. That's the it. All of that. Black. There's some part of that great. You need a chocolate. Well, didn't break. That's a good sign.
Did that come to you guys? Good?
Now, but I know what you're talking about.
Did they go back to you? I don't know if I did right.
It looks like it. So what he's doing, so when I just put that in, you're getting the same errors. I don't know if it's even if they keep working on it, it's going to the same day.
Row project. And then you have a container inside of search. What are those purple items on the side of the sky?
Yeah, this one.
So container, the container class by default already knows trying to make it push one forward inward. So when you're using the grid system, so rows and columns already have their own padding margins set. So now you're confined to
That's not right.
A certain width. Already. And now if you add a container inside of a row, it will now push one container in even more because it already has that category. So typically when you use containers need to be like the upstairs compared to that container. Yeah, so you can do this actually. So if you say you haven't put that part to your browser, so if we that makes sense.
Yeah. When I do these, I wrote it
This is back to the original.
and I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
there's one container. Yeah, so within this container,
So, as a rule of thumb,
Like control. See back to when it was working. Because now I don't know why it's not well.
inside
Why is it not
yeah, because containers are really containers are mostly used for used as containers and all this. So if you put a container in a container, just
so when he sent that to so I slacked it to the house what I had, and I updated it and slacked it to them again once at
that's up to you guys. So
does it work like that?
if it works for you, fine.
yeah.
Are you talking about like the code? So
Yeah. I slacked it to them. You just once a year, I guess
Yeah, I don't know what you have with it.
yeah, if you guys are using
I think now we should do live share because you have an HTML. So that we update, it would be redundant to just keep recording you over.
Okay, yeah,
You
yeah, I
are
totally
sending
understand.
us or slacking. Okay, so I'll just make edits around what it should look like. All the IDs and everything. Okay, and then when we're done, I'll send it over.
So right now the way you guys are working is the same thing. So it's not typically right now we just haven't introduced you guys. So when it comes to like project one, what you guys will do is you'll have the code already. And so we'll each have your own like input not your own name. So that way when you finish code, you push it up again with everybody else will pull that down. And that's the whole purpose of using it. So right now it just kind of sucks, right? You know, you're all working on like one file. So but yeah, you can use live share if you guys want.
I'm excited.
Well, we
I guess
are.
it does simplify it
They're
because,
just
yeah,
doing
if you have a
that.
long
We just have
lot of different parameters, you know you're always going to be doing it. For the most part.
What are you guys doing?
Well, try it. Couldn't you just put, because since input is its own, all of that.
So what do you ask me to
Put input that and
isn't this what we had before? That was when we said I couldn't find the end.
that was, I'm not typing. Okay.
So
What are you guys working on?
so we're back here.
Okay.
Right? We're literally just trying to go through our JSON objects and print out all the headlines.
Okay.
Put it to an object.
How do I explain this? We have it kind of working. Daniel helped us, told us how to get it working. He says how he wanted it working, and then it stopped finding the final part of the object, like the last dot.
Okay.
It gave us an error where it said it was undefined.
Okay.
And so now we're trying to go through and
The last one was in the ring too.
what's up?
Is that last one was another or built on another?
That's what we're trying to figure out right now.
So you guys obviously get a response back. How are you trying to print everything out on the line? What are you guys using? Well, no, like. So how are you going through the whole response object? Okay. So you're using a for loop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For loop I equals 0.
Okay.
And then we have a shorthand for the object to get straight to the array.
Okay.
So it just says input.
Okay.
And then we have I less than input dot length.
Okay.
I plus plus. and then it literally just says console log input.
Says console log.
So what is input?
Yeah, what is input?
So yeah, like we're trying to.
It's an array, right? So how do you access it?
It's more numbers.
Yeah, index. Square brackets. Square brackets. You use the square brackets to access an array. Input. No, that's fine. Those are functions. So input.
Yeah.
And then what goes inside the I, right?
Is it? Yeah. So we were doing things like that before.
So it depends on the element that's inside the array though, because if you have an array and you're iterating through and each element is another array, then you have to deal with that as well. But if it's an object, then you should be able to use dot notation to be like, this, input at I dot, something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were literally just
So now you have your input, what you wrote, and then you have to dot.
Well, yeah, that's how you access arrays. You remember? So we had let's say we have an array of strings, right? So we have our for, I equals 0, I less than array length, I plus plus. So to look inside our array, I don't know if you can see this or not. So that's the element at I, right? So if your guys' response object, so if you're iterating through the response, so let's say array is your documents, that you're looking at, right? So most likely it's probably going to be another object. So it'll probably look, something like this with, title, headline, whatever. So you would then, obviously have to look and see and pick out the ones you want, right? So if at the very top of the object, we can use array I dot, headline to give us the headline, right? Does that make sense? And the reason we do this is because this is an object that we're iterating through, right? If this was just a string, if it was just, this wouldn't work, right? It needs to be that. Yeah? Remember, the data types when you're looking through the array.
That's the only way that they can understand.
Now it makes sense because when you set variables, they're simply just objects. So if it knows that it's accessing an array,
I get the idea of the concept.
Well, JavaScript knows it's an array because it's an array, right?
Yeah.
So and it knows it's a string because
an
obviously
array is a special object. They're all objects. Everything's an object.
Pretty much everything is an object in JavaScript, with the exception of Boolean, numbers, strings, and undefined and null. So those are not objects. Those are called primitive types.
And then JavaScript just treats them like objects anyway.
With the exception of primitive types. So primitive types are not objects.
You said nothing. He was just as confused, if not more than that.
Square brackets.
And it always helps to log stuff too. Like anytime, like even at work, when I'm like doing any sort of JavaScript on the client side, I always console log stuff to make sure that I'm getting what I need to, and then I go ahead and pick out, and cherry pick, all the shit that I want. Yeah. It's a learning process. It's good though. Gets you thinking about it, right? Yeah, that's good. That's good. If it were easy, I mean, I wouldn't be here. So.
I mean, looking at it though, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Because that was
So this is
array.
we're getting there. We're gonna want to put this. We need to figure out the best way to structure our query URL. So that has all the parameters. So we can use
It says he was sick. I got
The
that.
start here. The first year. It's gonna value from
Well, what are the
Yeah, do something. See if you can get a picture.
Let's move this boy.
That's the type of Now I'm good at least some. So it's kind of like and then you go 4 years.
So you can have it.
All right, we have 9 minutes left. Anybody able to deploy? Anyone? Close? Okay. 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 So I'll give 4 more minutes. So at 9:25, Nick will go over the homework. The solution for this, I will post a video laying the solution. I don't think I have to go through this solution. You guys get the idea. This is Bootstrap. Behind the scene, I saw everybody got the API calls. The solution is just parsing it through. So there's anything going on. This was a bigger exercise because you have to do it from scratch, right? And that only comes with practice. You have to do Bootstrap or jQuery and everything, all right? So I'll post the video solution for this, the code for this. You guys can look at it. But at 9:25, Nick will do the homework for next week, and that'll be the end of the class, okay? All right. So you guys have like 3 more minutes.
Yay!
Hey, I put the homework code here, so.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm just trying to store that. When we use start here, you see how I have this so instead of it being query URL we'll take the search part out and then store the direction and then just keep that in
and then also these are all styled.
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
You did that.
I honestly just changed this because it's added a there. Right now it's the same thing. So I changed it to separate. I messed up in one area. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, either way it works. It just didn't look right.
Something.
The font.
I didn't even know about it. That was all her. I was like, I don't know where to find the image. Because we fixed it. So if you were to update what we did, page something else, then I might not be here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody ready to share their GitHub link? Nope. Okay, so I would highly recommend keep working on your solution after this class also. The solution I posted, but it might be a different way that you guys are doing. I would highly recommend keep doing what you are doing, and then you can look at the solution. Solution is just different kind of HTML basically. Okay.
did.
Yeah, but it will only do it if it hasn't actually.
So do we just send it to one of the TAs and you?
No, send it on the main Slack channel. Everybody can. The GitHub, the GitHub pages link. So I click and your website shows up. Is that what you have?
So he's gonna do all of that.
Okay.
I mean, you have to do it right in front of our face.
Send it to the
So quickly. How are you doing so fast?
Okay. If you guys finished, great. If not, well, sorry. We're going to go over homework now. So for this coming homework, we're going to be essentially creating an app where we can click on some buttons, hit the Giphy API, get some GIFs back, present them to the user, and also be able to add. So as you can see on page load, we have a list already that exists. So you can add some pre-selected some words in there. And then once we click on a button, we'll get some cute cats back. And on top of that, remember the pausing and playing? So depending on which ones you click, those are the ones that we want to play and pause, right? So if we click on it again, it plays. Click on it again, it pauses. So remember the activity from today? Still animate. Yeah. You know how to do that. Absolutely. Yeah. So so when we click on, I wonder what Skunk does. So again, if we click on a different one, it clears the previous contents and then replaces it with a new call to Giphy. Get some new pictures and stuff like that. So you can see here we have the rating and the image here. These are like the absolute minimum requirements. So if you guys want, be a little more creative and see what you can pull out of the response and create your own cards or something like that with Bootstrap to make it look all nice and pretty. On top of that, we can also add an animal. I don't see horse. So if we add a new one, click on that, we get some horses. So does that make sense? Yep. Any questions? Let me see if this does it. Okay. So this is one thing I wanted to mention. I don't know if it's part of the requirements or not. But see how we already added horse? And if we click submit, it keeps on adding horse. Yeah. Don't do that. So see if you can add in some validation in here. So if this is empty and we submit, it should not add any empty buttons, right? But if we have something that already exists, we want to prevent that from adding, new items. So yeah. So does that make sense? Any questions? What's that? Bird. I don't know. Let's try it.
Yeah. That's the largest bird.
It's a weird bird.
It's the largest bird without wings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this one.
Bless you.
I think it's like the largest rodent or something like that. But yeah, so that is your upcoming homework assignment. Again, don't be afraid to get creative with it. Make it your own. Yeah, so I think that pretty much covers everything today. So yes. No, you'll be using the Giphy API for this homework assignment. Yeah. Yeah. So I think we did. Yeah. So I think we did an activity with the Giphy API. Yeah. So you the same one used for your homework assignment.
No, we were using the slim mill. That was
Oh yeah, he has a word file. Well, Blair, you get a chance to slack out the